What's up, martial artists? How you guys doing? I'm Jay from EZ Wing Chun. After training martial art for 18 years under multiple styles such as karate, boxing, sanda, Kuen, Wing Chun, Muay Thai, and many other stuff, combined with my kinesiology programs, which all about human body, movement, and sport, I come to realize a few tips that I wish I know earlier, which I want to share to you guys now who are new to martial art. Let's go. Tip number 1, feel it rather than intellectually understand it. In martial art, there's always things to learn, and that's the beauty of it. I studied martial art for 18 years and I still feel like a white belt beginner. A lot of stuff that look very simple, but when you dig deep inside, it's very complicated. For example, when I demo a throwing technique on YouTube, I just pull his shoulder and then he falls to the ground. Look very simple, right? But I can tell you what I do now. Basically, I apply the pressure in a specific way from his shoulder to his opposite hips, and this will compress the spine in a diagonal ways. And then I slowly rotate him out and applying the force going straight down, shifting with the force that drag out and going to his third leg, and I constantly shift between those two. And the reason why he formed out is because number 1, his brain is confused. When there's so many variables to track, his brain will freeze and his brain cannot do anything. And then when his brain freezes, he cannot respond. Then I put him on a weaker spot in the third leg where no leg supporting his weight. Then he just fall himself. So basically I didn't do much, he just fall by himself, right? But technically I do a lot of stuff in it. But when you just visually receive it, what you see is just pull his shoulder and then he falls. So even if I explain it to you word by word like this, there's no way you can do it. You can intellectually understand it, and there's a difference there. Like if somebody explained it to me and I never know it before, I probably could understand it based on the scientific explanation. However, if I ask to perform exactly the same, I cannot do it either. That's why every time I learn something new, maybe from a teacher, maybe from a friend, I always ask them to do it on me. It's either a punch, a throwing techniques, anything. I want the feel of it, and once I got the feel of it, I want to combine with their explanation, so now things make a little bit more sense. Tip number 2, be honest to your teacher and ask him for the clarity in the information. If your teacher performs some sort of self-defense techniques, for example, and you don't think it will work, honestly just ask them, right? Be honest. Hey, I don't think it worked. Can you do it on me or on a non-cooperative opponent? And trying your best to not being disrespectful, because in this case, sometimes people take it as like challenge and stuff, right? But like for my teacher, for example, all of my teachers know that I'm straight honest. I don't understand it, so I want to feel it for myself. I don't worry if I get hit in the face. I'm fine with that. I just want to know if it actually worked. And this is just like communication skills, right? And this is how I think that a martial art classroom should run. Like in my classroom, if the student don't understand about anything, if he doubt about anything, he could ask me anytime he want, and then he just put on helmet and see for himself. For me, I'm kind of proof needed kind of person, so I need to see it for myself, right? But this could benefit both teacher and student, because sometimes maybe student bring in a new aspect that the teacher doesn't encounter before, so the techniques might fail. But even if it fails, it still benefit the teachers, right? I'm not afraid that the teachers show me a technique that doesn't work. I respect him more if he show me the technique that doesn't work and then he modify it and show me a better version. That is the teacher that I want to learn. And also for the student, like something you just have opinion about everything, and welcome to this era where everybody could put opinion in everything online. So sometimes you're right or sometimes you're wrong. But when you actually experience it, like when you put on the helmet, it's just black and white. It either works or doesn't work. So I don't care what your opinion is, I don't care what your Sifu opinion is, put on the helmet. If it works, then it works. Tip number 3, don't judge the book by its cover. And a lot of the times, you know, when people look at things, they want to look for a certificate, they want to look for records, and I'm totally agree with that. Like, you want to see the quality of the product, the review before you actually purchase it, and it's fine. But let's say, for example, if you go to a doctor because you hurt your leg and the doctor is professionally trained, then you like, okay, I could rely on him because he's professionally trained, 10 years in med school. However, there's no university for martial artists, and people tend to like, okay, let's seek alternative. Now I'm looking for records, looking for like trophies, or maybe lineages, or his sifu, who are them? Like, honestly though, I think that a Kung Fu man should let his hand speak for himself, and his hands should speak louder than any other stuff, like his trophy, his lineages, whatever, right? Like, do you want to train with somebody that be able to eat you for breakfast any day he wants, or you want to train with like Bruce Lee student, Yip Man student, but they cannot even move properly? Tip number 4, teachers versus fighters. Now this is pretty tricky because the teachers usually cannot fight and the fighters usually cannot teach. Sometimes there's a guy can do both, however it's pretty rare. And it's the same go for like a professional athlete have to go to a sports scientist to come up with a program to improve his skills. However, if the sports scientist could do it by himself, why don't him just compete himself and get all of the money? The reason is because the sports scientist cannot execute the skills as well as the professional athlete. And if you look at the teacher and the fighters, the teachers spend 40-50 hours per week to gather more information and to pass on to other people. So he good at passing on the knowledge, he good at communication skill, he good at contain the knowledge. The fighter on the other hand, he spend 40-50 hours training to make sure he maximize the output of his performance based on his personal reference. So in a nutshell, if you learn from a fighter, you basically learn what he good at, not what you good at. He may be very good. Let's say you learn from Mike Tyson, right? Everybody would love to train with Mike Tyson. However, what you learn is his replica, and based on your body difference, you have different muscle type, you have different bone density, different bone structure, your background completely different. How can you replicate him? If anyone can replicate him, there would be like 10 Mike Tyson. They're not just only one, right? And if you choose to train with like Gus D'Amato, his coach, then his coach will know what fits you the most. Therefore, will maximize your outcome performance based on your self-reference, not Mike Tyson reference, and that is the difference. But however, if you put them into a fight, right, in a ring, Mike Tyson would kill Gus in like 5 seconds, right? However, Gus could improve your skill more. So my bottom line is you should choose a teachers rather than choose a fighters. But here is the tricky part, because in martial art it is black and white. You put on the helmet, then you know the stuff work or doesn't work. So if the guy got good knowledge but he cannot execute that knowledge, how do you know he got good knowledge? You see that? You see that? So my best advice is to look at his students, because if he a decent teacher, if he got good knowledge, then his student would be really good. However, if you look at the guy that's very good but his student really bad, you know for sure this guy is a fighter. Don't learn from him. And honestly though, anyone that could kick my ass or anyone could do what they claim to, and especially like something I'm interested in, I would choose them as my teachers. Like, don't even dream of, oh, I want to learn with this guy, the champion of this, champion of that. He's too high level, so maybe when he explains stuff, you won't be follow anyway because you're not at that level. However, what you could focus on is you could focus on closing your gap between you and your teachers. And maybe one day you get to that level, maybe you find another one to closing the gap again. And it's like a long process with like multiple stops, right? So each stop you become a little bit better. It's not like you take a couple steps and then you go to the top of mountain. It doesn't work like that. Finally, tip number 5, don't stick to one path. Now I know that if you admire one Sifu in particular, if you just have too much respect for your style, I'm cool with that. Nothing wrong with, like going one martial art, right? You could be specialized on one thing and that's a good thing too. But I'm just saying that, experiment with other stuff is pretty cool. And like after training 8 years in karate and then an amateur boxer outperforming, which make me confused. So I'm like, I gotta train boxer to see what it's look like, right? And it's not because karate is bad. The material is pretty decent, because after I do boxing for like 2-3 years, I'll be able to reapply the karate material, and I fuck people up in my boxing gym with like these weird karate techniques like they never experienced it before. Like, so the thing is good, I just don't know how to use it. And funny how training other style make my karate better. And the same thing go for like Wing Chun and boxing. When I shift to Wing Chun, I noticed that Wing Chun is tighter, it worked better for me. However, it lacks of powers and flexibilities. And when I reapply some boxing principles, some footwork into it, it worked flawlessly. Like, so I feel like, like if you only stick to one path, you miss out all the beauties. If you stick out to all the path too much and you don't go one path long enough, you like a jack of all trade, right? Like a handy knife but cannot cut. So my advice to you is, like experience it. Like, try different lineages and stick to them for like 6 months, a year, see how you like it. And sometimes when things doesn't go as you wanted, don't feel like a waste, because every time you improve, it comes from many little things. It's not just okay, karate didn't work, I trained boxing and it got better. No, it comes from some stuff from karate too, or at least for me, and I noticed that, right? And then just put it on the closet, for example, and then when you got to a certain point, then you pull it out and try to reapply it. You will feel amazed how your skills has improved and has changed. And that's it for today's guide. It's a little bit long, I know it, I'm sorry, I always talkative. But if you like the content, or if you have any question, just shoot me a question down on the comment sections. And also hit the like and the subscribe button so you never miss my new weekly video about Wing Chun, self-defense, or martial art in general. Sometimes I do stuff about sports science as well. So if you like that, make sure hit the like button and the subscribe button, okay? That's it for today's guide. Knowledge is power, however, it cannot win the fight. And this is the tips number 6. Repetition is. So make sure you train hard rather than just watch my 5 tips and then go to sleep, okay? Start training. EZ Wing Chun, peace out.